Now, if a student applies to Columbia University, this first reader with GPA and SAT actually weighs up to 60% of your score at this stage. The rest 30% is your extracurricular activities, your teacher recommendations, your counselor recommendation, your awards, your personal essays, etc., etc. Within sometimes from 5 minutes to 25 minutes, a college is supposed to differentiate these kids into 3 groups. Possible. 非常有可能 likely. Unlikely. Every single year, roughly 70% to 78% of the kids are in the possible range. Roughly 5% of the kids is in the likely range. The unlikely 就是年跟年的区别非常非常大, but it's whatever that's left out of this crowd. A lot of parents ask me, who is a likely student? A likely student is very rare. It's your brain, 这一个孩子的大脑是 is an asset to society. That's how smart the student is. Let me give you an example. This year, a student that I helped who got into MIT from China invented 39 different types of electrical gadgets. That will be considered unlikely. You at the age of 12, you took the SATs and scored a perfect score. You at the age of 13, you invented something that Bill Gates is using. You have won more chemistry awards than I have fingers and toes in my body. These are the type of kids that are likely. A school is doing society injustice if they do not pay out 这些天才. So likely students is very easy to figure out. So are the unlikely students. Unlikely students, who are they? By the time that I look at your GPA and your SAT, I'm asking myself why you are applying to this school in the first place. If that is the case, you will be put into the unlikely category. The majority of the students are located inside the 70 to 78% of them. It's a possible range. The likely and the unlikely students are read by the second reader, who spends less time than the first reader on these applications. But if the second reader agrees with the first reader that this is indeed a likely student and this is indeed an unlikely student, then the likely student is already accepted, the unlikely student is already rejected. So for the good 30% of the applicants each year, you can call the school 2 weeks after you apply and find out if you got in or not. But again, you have to feel very good or very bad. All of these possible students, they skip the second reader. They go straight into the admissions committee, which is a 5 to 11 personality. They read the application one by one and they take a vote on you. If there's any ambiguities, 比如说第二个人不同意我的观点，说这不是一个 likely student， 这也不是一个 unlikely student， then these ambiguities 也送到 admissions committee。所以对于哥大来说，每年这个 admissions committee is responsible for reading 80% of the applications， 都可以读到，就是很长时间的这个 process。All the schools use a process similar to this, but various schools do things differently. For instance, 哈佛大学，他们没有第一个 reader， 也没有第二个 reader. They only have the admissions committee. 哈佛大学100%的 application 都会读到。So for a school like Harvard, they spend time on every single application that comes through the door. 在这一点，家长一般都能看出来，常春藤大学跟不是常春藤大学选孩子的方式是非常非常不一样的方式。不是常春藤大学也有很多非常好的大学 ，Stanford, Duke, MIT, University of Chicago, Northwestern, etc., etc. 非 trend-wise is going to be lower. Why? Stanford 是一个非常好的学校，但是它没有250年的历史。They haven't been around for 250 years. 哈佛大学的 SAT average 比如说下降了 they drop in the ranking. They are still going to get the same number of applicants, if not more. Why? Because Harvard has been around for over 250 years. This is the main difference between the Ivy League schools and non-Ivy League schools. It shows in how they select students. So at Stanford,在 Stanford 大学，这个第一个 reader 不是一个大学生，这个第一个 reader 是 the most senior person on the admissions committee， 是在这个 meeting 里头待的时间最长的一个人。他在30秒钟到5分钟之间的时间会 reject 60% of the applicants。他自己的 opinion, he has the authority to reject 60% of the applicants as the first read. 这个看起来就跟中国的大学没有什么特别大的区别。你要是在1分钟或者是2分钟时间，要必须得 reject 60%的 applicants， 他们会去看什么资料？用什么资料可以最快的把一个小孩给 reject？ Maybe 30 seconds is all it takes for them to take a look at the SAT and GPA. 所以在这一点，学生们也得知道，根据他们自己的 academic performance， 比如说我是一个 I'm the best academic student in Stuyvesant. I have the highest SAT scores, I have very good GPA. 但是我的 personality, what I did outside of the school might not be as astounding as some of the other students. Then a non-Ivy League school, like Stanford, might be a better choice than an Ivy League school. If a student has great personality, great character, 我给你举个例子， one of the students that actually got into MIT last year, 这个孩子 in his 4 years of high school, he built 39 different types of rubber-powered airplanes, 就是小模型那种飞机。Capable of flying at different heights, different speeds, different weather, landing on different ground. And this student got into MIT with